We all understand vibes, right? Like we go to a party and we're like, oh my God, the vibes were incredible. If we look at the dictionary, what vibes stands for, it's vibrational frequency. And so none of us are sitting around being like, oh, she has high vibrational frequency. Nobody, like that would sound so stuck up, right? But we all have a spidey sense of good energy and bad energy. But we don't have a vocabulary to deeper see and read and understand how that impacts us, how we can better that vibe, how we can utilize it to create more success, more abundance, more health in our life. And human design is that tool that helps you understand beyond the tangible that we can learn from the internet or following somebody's steps to success, but really recognizing, okay, what is my framework?
Welcome to the Leadership Launchpad Podcast, the Legacy Edition, where conscious leaders unite to unlock their highest potential so collectively we can change the way the game is being played. Welcome to the Leadership Launchpad Podcast, changing the way this game is being played. And boy, oh boy, do we have a special treat in store to catalyze that mission of ours. Tracey, Allen, and I have been running one deep scouting report on this fabulous guest. We're so thrilled to bring her line of expertise to our leaders and this leadership development community of ours. She is the founder of Soft Power Human Design. Maike Gabriela is a human design reader and deconditioning expert, dedicated to helping conscious individuals reconnect with themselves and their true purpose. Combining her background in psychology with a deep understanding of human design, Maike supports people in identifying and releasing self-sabotaging patterns and energetic blockages so that they can confidently follow their authentic calling. Since founding her practice during the pandemic, Maike has guided hundreds of clients from over 50 countries, helping them overcome feelings of disconnection, low self-worth, and uncertainty. Through her work, she empowers her community to realign their energy, create meaningful change, and show up in the world as their most authentic selves. This is why we're so excited to have you. This so aligns with our mission. Maike, welcome to the podcast, girl.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Tracey, for this beautiful welcome. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Why don't we start off by plugging our audience into a little bit of this backstory and maybe even hero's journey in terms of what inspired you to go on this mission in the human design space at the start of the pandemic?
Well, it was the pandemic. Everything stopped. All of my work opportunities kind of froze. And I had been just short of finishing my human design certification a week prior to all jobs getting postponed. And I felt like this was really the kick from the universe to step out of the spiritual closet. Nobody but my one friend in Canada, who was enough far away for me to tell her all of my worries and all of my spiritual endeavors, knew that I was into human design, or that I was doing a lot of like inner child healing and subconscious reprogramming and like all of these things. And I was like, okay, well, I have time. I have this new knowledge. So maybe this is my opportunity or my sign. Also, honestly, I wanted to help. People were like going through it. Like that was, I always say it's like the portal for consciousness to really gain mainstream, because like now the trainer in my gym is telling me about astrology, which is wild. But there's like this consciousness that we all have, you know, the psychology vocabulary, and like we understand what trauma is, what patterns are. And I really think that that moment in time where we were able to really pause for a moment and look inward and assess what was happening in our life was very impactful. And so I just started talking about human design, and it just snowballed. Nothing in my life has ever been this successful, this fast, and this made me feel like this good and gave me this amount of like economic success. And I was like, well, this is what we're doing then. And here we are 5 years later.
Well, it certainly lends itself to the reason we wanted to bring you on our show today, to make a case for, just how advantageous it can be to go to this next step of depth in terms of our self-leadership. You know, we talk about on this show, Tracey and I, stepping to the helm consciously in our self-leadership is really where we take our power back, right? And our power is our energy. And so this is why we talk about leadership development from the entry point known as mindset, because that's what penetrates the beliefs, the emotions, and that obviously is one component of what affects our energy, right? But what human design brings to the table, and this is where I want to plug into what human design is that next step of depth in terms of understanding just innately what your energy is trying to communicate to you about, who you are and what it is that you're meant to do in this world. So can you just give our audience a little bit of a quick snapshot into what human design is and how it gets us to that next step of depth in our self-leadership?
Of course. I love the insight that you're giving, because I'm sure that you, as your audience, has had that experience where you purchase, like a high ticket business course, self-development course, sports training, and you follow all the steps, but you don't get the desired results. The amount of money that I would have made if I would have become a millionaire every time I bought a course from somebody who said, like, follow me and you'll become a millionaire, would be like, would be amazing. But unfortunately, we come to realize that even though we religiously follow somebody else's steps, those steps are the steps designed for that person's unique path to greatness, authenticity, and connecting to their own purpose in the world. And that does not mean that our path, our purpose is going to look like a copy of somebody else's. We all have these unique talents. We all have these unique insights, these quirks that make us a bit weird, but that is the weirdness that allows us to stand out and create magnetism and catch people's attention. And so human design is the roadmap to your energetic authenticity. And so even though nowadays we live in a time and an age where we can get any information from the internet, there is no vast questions that you could ask TikTok or ChatGPT for that matter, or YouTube, on how to understand, learn anything. And yet we still find ourselves with obstacles and without achieving that thing that fulfills our soul deeply. And human design, to me, is the roadmap that helps you understand, not only from a strategic point of view, how A plus B equals Z or whatever, but that really helps you understand why you have obstacles in your life that are untangible. And so the interesting thing about this is that we all understand vibes, right? Like, we go to a party and we're like, oh my God, the vibes were incredible. If we look at the dictionary, what vibes stands for, it's vibrational frequency. And so none of us are sitting around being like, oh, she has high vibrational frequency. Nobody. Like, that would sound so stuck up, right? But we all have a spidey sense of good energy and bad energy. But we don't have a vocabulary to deeper see and read and understand how that impacts us, how we can better that vibe, how we can utilize it to create more success, more abundance, more health in our life. And human design is that tool that helps you understand beyond the tangible that we can learn from the internet or following somebody's steps to success, but really recognizing, okay, what is my framework? What is what works individually for my unique energy? And how can I optimize that in collaboration with the universe or the creator, whatever you want to utilize to get your soul to its highest expression?
I love that. That's my favorite part, right? Is like, we talk to high performing leaders about realizing max potential, so that they can have max impact in terms of the people that they serve. And this really is a science and technology, the way I think about it, right? To be able to leverage really just understanding not only where best to show up in service to catalyzing that potential, right? But just even in regards to the relationships that we surround ourselves by, leaders, we have teams that we're responsible for catalyzing their potential, and
Absolutely. Like, one of the most recent cases is that I was accompanying a 24-year-old entrepreneur, and I did his human design. I did the human design for everybody on his team. I formed a couple of people on his team so they could hire accordingly. And we got him from doing 50K a month to 150,000 a month. And now he's a self-made millionaire at 24 years old.
Woo! So this is what we want to edify. Trace,
Yeah.
And that is the power of human design, if you know how to apply it. I mean, again, you got to embody it. The internet is full of false information. ChatGPT will also, I know you're gonna go to ChatGPT and gonna figure it out. Don't do, like, you can do it, but don't take everything ChatGPT says for granted, because unfortunately, ChatGPT isn't there yet. And I have a lot of people who DM me like, oh my God, I thought I was this energy type for 6 months, and now I've realized I'm not. ChatGPT failed me. So for ChatGPT, it's too new. But the real difference of impact in human design is getting a cellular activation. So this is something very specific in human design, and not only intellectualizing it by reading and like saving posts on Instagram, but actually doing the scary work, quote unquote, which is stepping into that trust with the universe that you are allowed to become successful and attain wealth by being your authentic self, moving away from the fear of being your authentic self, which has been ingrained in us since childhood, and really embodying your energetic authenticity shamelessly, really.
I love it. Trace, you got anything?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, you and I started this a few years ago where we kind of got into human design. And I remember we were at your place actually, and you had started looking into it, Susan, and then we started getting, you know, this is what we talk about. We kind of go down rabbit holes depending if it's astrology, human design, or, you know, conscious leadership. And, you know, we've got a bunch of different modalities we practice. But honestly, one of the most impactful ones that I have recognized is actually human design. And actually, Maike gave me a session, I guess it was about a year ago. I remember I was traveling to Portugal and I saw her advertisement. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do a session. So I did one. And what for me, and I think is for a lot of people, is super validating in terms of trying to understand yourself. And then can you shamelessly walk away from like thinking, I'm like that, but am I like that because I'm just like that? No, I'm actually like that because there's a reason for that. And I felt like it just kind of confirmed what I thought about myself or what I knew about myself, but also made it okay. And then I could really step into who my authentic self is in my leadership, at work, in my life. And I even bought the source code, which was like super helpful. And I still read it to remember who I am, and that these things are very specific to my energy, and that who's why I'm here, and to really use my gifts every day so that I can actually help other people and really live in terms of like we call our authentic self. So I find it freeing as a modality. It's like that confirmation of validity that this is all good. And there's a reason and a purpose for all these things that are showing up in my life. And being able to make that connection is like magical. To be able to continue and really enjoy life and, like you say, have trust in the process. Right? So that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I'm so grateful we have her here today to talk about that. I think so many people can benefit from this. It's like,
I relate to that experience very deeply, because before finding human design, I was really at a breaking point. Like, I could not understand why I was working 18 hours a day, writing 250 cold emails. And I was the most hardworking, ambitious, nonstop person that I knew at the time, and maybe still am now. But, you know, I didn't understand why I was putting so much effort in doing everything everybody was telling me I had to do to achieve my goal, which was making money. And I just wasn't able to sustain. I had a sustainable underwear brand back then. I wasn't able to make ends meet, and I just didn't understand. And I was so burned out that I was about to, like, again, close to a second burnout by the age of 30. I had an autoimmune disease. My weight was always fluctuating. I had a newborn baby. Like, I was so stressed out and in such a negative loop about my self-worth. I'm like, I have to be broken. I have to be a bad person. God doesn't love me. My dreams will never come true. I'm like, this sense of brokenness, the sense that all of these painful experiences that I was having that were so hard, so heavy, and the narrative that I was conveying about what these events in my life meant about me were so dark. that it was really, I remember listening to a podcast in between feeding my daughter, middle of the night, really praying, just like, universe, God, give me a sign. And I heard something about being a projector in your human design. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but that's exactly who I am. And everything in my life made sense. And I truly believe now that the second that I realized that the things that were happening in my life were not against me, but they were actually divinely orchestrated for me to liberate myself from this conditioning, from this belief that I had to be somebody else in order to be loved, in order to have a sense of belonging, in order to be accepted. And that painful death of that version of myself that I had created, that mask I had created to be able to get love, attention, and feel a sense of belonging and safety in my environment, was like the most liberating, freeing, and beautiful experience that got me from rock bottom to really miraculous healing. And this whole new life opened up for me that is a million times better from anything that I could have even manifested.
Wow.
I actually have a note in my phone that I have, like, I pinned it, and this is from August 2020. Okay, my goal was to make 3,000 euros a month, have 5 to 7 people per week, be in podcasts, be in Vogue, have 5,000 followers, whatever. Guys, like, I have surpassed this list. Only like last month, I think we made like 60K in revenue. So yeah, that's kind
killing the game, all
But
because you were
but
able to give yourself permission
crazy.
to
No,
step
this
into and align.
acceptance, this acceptance of, like, I'm actually not broken. I'm actually designed to be this version of myself, and this is enough to be everything I desire to be. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to, you know, yeah, I wasn't, like, even pre having my daughter, way before, it was in a very dark moment of my life because I couldn't find my purpose. I felt so lost. I didn't have energy. It was dark. So being able to get myself out of there was, like, very important.
This is why I'm so excited to bring you to our audience. We've been talking about the disruption that these high achieving leaders are all experiencing right now. The level of uncertainty is so high, right? And I think this is where people are starting to, feel the anxiety in and around the uncertainty because of what we're predicting is going to be changing in the way that we orient ourselves towards work and life, right? And a lot of our high achieving leaders are looking to understand, like, how to pivot and how to adapt. I've been told I'm good at numbers, so I became an accountant. I've been an accountant for 20 years, and I just think this is such an amazing opportunity for them to hear that narrative and that message, and then for them to be able to step in and play with this modality. So let's talk about some of the different types of energy, because I think, this whole piece around how validating it can feel to realize that there's method to the madness. If you're experiencing the disruption, right, and you're experiencing the fear and the anxiety and the self-doubt, all of that we're suggesting is possibly happening for you in this moment. But I think it starts with in human design, an understanding that we have so many types of this energy and that is a part of our collective design in terms of our collective consciousness. We all have different roles to play with the energy types that we possess. So can you walk us through just a little bit of the different types and, just some of how that really can be the starting point to really start to step into our alignment?
Yes, of course, absolutely. So there's 5 primary archetypes, and they all have a strategy with which we will remove the most resistance in our life and can very quickly attune to alignment. It sounds way easier than it is to do, because the doing is where we start questioning our safety and our authenticity. And so what I mean by that, and I'm just gonna, before I start with the energy types, is that I truly believe that we've come whole into this lifetime, and our whole soul knows exactly what experiences, what relationships, what material things are meant for us. And they're all kind of like in an iCloud. They're all kind of like in a holding pattern. And so our aura has the key. Our aura is the password that connects the things that are meant for us in our experience into our reality. But in human design, we talk a lot about the conditioning and the deconditioning process. And so the conditioning is kind of like a slime that is sitting on top of our aura, not allowing our soul to connect with the things that we know we're meant to experience in this lifetime. And so what happens is that from a very small age, when we showed our whole authentic self, we might have experienced rejection, emotional, or even physical punishment for showing our whole authentic self because it triggered the shadow in our adults or our environment. And so in order to stay safe, in order to have a sense of belonging and to feel loved, we reject parts of our whole authentic self. And these rejected parts of our whole authentic self become what in psychology we call the lost self. And these are parts of ourselves we bury so deep inside us because they cause us shame and make us feel like we are unlovable. And so we grow up being adults that try to gain back that sense of wholeness through intense but toxic relationships, through material things or substances to fill us up from the outside in. And so what human design helps us understand is that when we are able to look at the parts of ourselves that we deemed shameful and we bring them back to heal within our whole full authentic self, we are at this process of deconditioning where we can take off the slime from our aura and our soul can connect back to the things that are meant for us to experience in this lifetime. And so even though the strategy that comes with each type is really simple because it touches this root of shame and unworthiness, it is much easier to understand than it is to actually put in practice. So I just wanted to preface that, okay? So we're going to start with the projector, which is my energy type. And the projector is only 20% of the population. We have a focused, penetrating aura that is designed to work great on one-on-one conversations because our aura is always focusing in on the soul of the person in front of us. And the purpose of a projector is to guide and to see people really deeply. And so what will happen is that the projector is built in a way where they don't have consistent energy. It's not that they don't have energy, it's that just that they can't perform every single day in a 9-to-5 the way that society expects you. And so the main takeaway for the projector is your worth does not come from how much you do, but how well you're able to explain what only you can see. And so this is very tricky when you are in a corporate situation or when you've been conditioned all your life that there's just one way to be working, to then step out. There's a lot of projectors that are burnt out, a lot of projectors that get sick. They suffer the most in the social construct of work. And so they're not here to do, they're here to see and guide. And so they have a very specific strategy which helps them remove resistance in their life. But it sounds tricky because it is tricky. And that is that projectors have to wait for the invitation before their gifts can be seen. And in a society where we are driven by very masculine, dominant energy, especially in the workplace, you have to go get it. If you don't have it, it's because you need to work harder. Like, I am telling you, there was no way I could have worked harder to get what I wanted, and I didn't get what I want. And it wasn't because I wasn't worthy of having what I wanted. It was because I was working against my energetic authenticity. And so the moment that you start waiting for the invitation and you start getting recognized by the people that understand and see you, that is when projectors gain financial success and just have this feeling of being incredibly deeply fulfilled. And the interesting thing about the projectors, though, even though their North Star, their way of knowing that they are in the right place or on the right path is financial success and recognition, their success, every projector's success, is 100% linked to creating success in other people's lives. So the projector's success will never be selfish, impossible. If you see a selfish projector, they're going to be losing it in 0.5. Like, they cannot sustain selfish success. It is always tied, the amount of money that you make as a projector is tied to how much money you help other people make. It doesn't have to be money, right? Like, for the projector, money is really important. And I know a lot of people don't like me to say that because they're like, there's other, no, for projectors, it's money. But it's about creating success in other people's life, which isn't always monetary. It's just how they feel and how they do things. Projectors are here to help people do things faster, quicker, easier to understand, speed up the process so everybody stops wasting their precious time on shit they don't want to do. Then we have the generator, which is you, Susan. And so the generator are about 38% of the population. You have an open, enveloping aura. This is a very beautiful feminine energy. This is an energy that when you are immersed in the things that you love, that you enjoy, where you are creative, where you're trying to figure things out, that is when you become incredibly magnetic, and people love spending time with you. They're like, Susan, let's go grab a coffee, let's go for a walk. Your energy is contagious, and people are more excited after they've seen you than before they were when they met you. And so the generator's purpose is really to be a force of creation. The generator will love to build. And this is also very important, specifically in the business arena, because a lot of times once a generator has built a business that is successful, somebody will tell them, oh, but you have to be the CEO. No, the CEO just oversees and gives orders. And that will drain the generator, because the generator's passion is in the doing. A couple of years ago, I did a panel at Soho House, and I came up with this concept called the energy peaks. And so every energy type has an energy peak. And the fascinating thing for me as a projector to watch the generator's energy peak is that the generator's energy peak is in the doing. You don't care so much about the vision, you don't care so much about the feedback, but your true joy and pure satisfaction is when you're deeply immersed in the doing of the thing that you love. And so the tell-all sign that you're aligned as a generator is the more you do what you love, the more energy you have. And I love how Susan is like nodding, like, yes, yes.
Hey, freaking men, bang on. I think this is why I did so well in my sporting career, right? It's because I was talking about this on the show last week. It had to compel such deep presence and full engagement. And that's always where I did my best. And I learned to trust that that's where I do my best work, you know?
I love that. Presence is so important for generators. And I feel the biggest resistance and fear that I see in generators is when they lose the connection to the present moment. So they are so caught up in how I'm going to make money next month, how I'm going to achieve this next week, they're so always in the future that they forget that their magic and their truth is in the now. And that is the sacral response that guides them towards their purpose. Then we have the manifestor. The manifestor is only 7% of the population. It is a very dominant 7% of the population. It is said that in the history of human design, manifestors are the leaders and the conquerors. They do not have consistent energy similar to the projector, but they're actually opposite. So projectors need to be invited. Manifestors are here to inform. Manifestors are here to initiate. Manifestors are here to kick you in the butt and be like, come on, let's go. We gotta move forward. And so they have this very, really beautiful, intense energy. And what makes them so special is that they have a closed aura. So having a closed aura means that other people can't really look inside them. And so the reason a manifestor has to inform is because the moment a manifestor opens their mouth and tells the world about their intentions to conquer it, there's a little door that opens in their aura, and then people can look inside and give the manifestor their deserving space, place, and attention. And so the hardest thing about being a manifestor is really this concept that we get when we have the title of being a manifestor. You're dominant, you're powerful, you're like the king, the queen energy. And so manifestors, because oftentimes they have been shamed about their energetic bigness and their dominance, and parents have made them feel really bad about not needing parental guidance because they have a very high autonomy since very little. Manifestors know exactly what their life path is, know exactly which direction to take. And so what happens is that they try to compensate as adults, and then they try to use this energy suddenly to have the permission to be powerful. The biggest mistake for the manifestor is exactly that, thinking that you're powerful by using your dominant energy, when really we all know that you're dominant and you're powerful. So the manifestor only needs to actually focus on creating peace. So the authentic energy for the manifestor is this very calm, peaceful energy that when shit hits the fan, the manifestor is like, don't worry, I got you. we're gonna figure this out. And so I feel like this is a very key component in deeply understanding the manifestor energy that gets lost, because everybody talks about dominance, about power, about leadership, about getting what you want. But most manifestors struggle immensely because they don't want to, we're living in human design 2.0. Nobody wants to like coerce anybody. Nobody wants to be yelling at anybody. Nobody wants to control, and nobody wants to be controlled. And so manifestors are actually not here to like force people into doing shit, but they're actually here to just be this very calm rock energy, like I got you energy, and everybody will naturally flock towards the manifestor because they know when the ship is sinking, the manifestor will be at the helm figuring out a solution. Then we have the manifesting generator, which is what Tracey is. And the manifesting generator is a hybrid between the generator and the manifestor. So the manifesting generator is the quickest energy type, the most independent energy type, the most intense energy type. And so the manifesting generator has the characteristic that they love 10,000 things. And if they could have 10 business at the same time, that is where they will be thriving. So the manifesting generator will start reading a book and then watching a documentary, and then they want to do this new certification, but then they also want to travel the world, and they're like, oh my God, I have so many things to do. And all of the manifesting generator friends are just looking at them being like, in awe, like how in the world do you do all of this, right? And so a lot of times manifesting generators carry a lot of shame, carry a lot of shadow around this curiosity, around this understanding that it's very hard for them to do one thing and to stick to this one thing. And so they grow up with the, this like chatter in their mind from their parents, their school, like, oh, you don't have grit, you don't have consistency, you can never stick to a thing, as if that would be a bad thing. But guess what? It is not, because that is exactly where you thrive as a manifesting generator, because as a manifesting generator, you do not learn vertically. You learn horizontally, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You start something, then you get bored, you start something else, then you get bored, then you go back, then you look into this. And instead of it being a faulty quality, it is actually the genius that allows you to be incredibly curious, so that when there is a situation at hand where everybody just has this narrow vision of like 1 + 1 = 2, the manifesting generator comes in and is like, no, but guys, you have totally like misread the situation. You are not looking in the corners of the room. Like, we can mix this up, let's sprinkle in some whatever, let's do a smoothie, let's mix up stuff that wouldn't make any sense. The manifesting generator will be able to break down old patterns and really create this new path that we haven't even thought about, because our mind has been conditioned to have this very like structured, linear A, B, C. I go to school, I study, then I get my degree, and the manifesting generator is like, whatever, I just want to be free, and I need people to trust me to do what I do best. And that's where they will thrive, and that's where you will see them really shine.
Boom.
You agree, Tracey?
Boom. Yes, that's exactly it.
And last but not least, we have the reflector. And the reflector is just 1% of society. And the reflector is a very unique energy type because it is ruled by the moon and not ruled by the sun. And so the reflector is the energy type that is here to mirror back the health of your company, the health of your friends group, and the health of society. So if you happen to have a reflector in your circle, everything you don't like about them, or everything that you feel is wrong about them, or everything that they're suffering with, is actually an extension of their environment. And so each reflector can be completely different to the next. And they're all deeply influenced by either how they grew up or the environment that they're in the moment that you meet them. And so they have to wait 28 days to make a right decision, because they are lunar and all of their energy centers are open. So every week, depending on the activation of the different gates that we find in our human design, they will perform like different energy types. And so they need that space to taste and try all of the different possibilities. So at the end of the month, they can come back to their blank canvas and be like, okay, I've experienced all of this. Who am I truly? What do I actually want? And then they can make the most aligned decision.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So good. Tracey and I had the best idea off air. We thought, what better way to demonstrate and exemplify this than for us to open up the kimono and allow you to take a little peek in terms of our energy type. So I know we talked about generators and manifestors and manigens and all of that. But there's also a specific number that we all get, or archetype that we get assigned, that reflects, I guess, our inner state versus our external state. One way to think about it, but I'll let you take the ball from here.
So what you're talking about, I'm guessing, is the profile.
Yes,
and so
the profile.
yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. And the profile number is very important and very impactful, I feel like, for leadership and really understanding ourselves, but also understanding each other. So the first thing that caught my eye when I was looking at your chart is that you have inverted profile number compatibility. What does that mean? That sounds very fancy. It's not that fancy. But what I'm trying to say is, okay, so the profile is the way that we learn in life. And a lot of times we think that we are compatible when we have the same energy type. Oh, you have the same energy, like I get you, you get me. But that's actually not true. I would argue that I have very little projector friends in my life. I don't necessarily feel drawn to, I'm an energetic projector. That's also like rare. I have a lot of energy. So I'm not particularly like empathizing with people through the experience of being a projector. I'm way more inspired by examples of like other energy types. So the biggest misconception is that we are similar when we have the same energy type, because the truth is we will get along the best when we have similar or same profile numbers. And so what is so interesting about you is that Susan has her 6 personality profile line, and Tracey has her 6 design personality profile. And so this means you have inverted same numbers. And this quality of having, because one of like the way that one is perceived and the other one is how they feel inside of them. So you recognize each in the 6th profile, and I will get into what that means in a moment. And that is actually why you both understand each other so well. And this is really fascinating, because I remember I had a client who was like this girl living on the countryside, like milking cows. And I'm like, I grew up in the city, I'm into fashion. Like, we could have not been from different planets, and yet I felt her so clearly. I'm like, oh my God, I understand you so deeply. And it is because we had the exact same profile. So it's really interesting to watch that, because what happens is that, I'm going to go through the profiles really quick. We have the number one. Number one is the investigator, is the person where 99% of my clients will sit in front of the computer where the session is recorded in video, but they will come with a pen and a paper because they need to write everything down.
Right.
Right? And so the one needs to investigate, needs to learn through information, is nosy, wants to know all of the things. The 2 is the kind of person who just has a natural talent. Those are the people I was the most jealous in school, because I was studying for 3 months straight for an exam, and they literally looked at the book an hour before the exam, and they had great grades, and I probably sucked because I was terrible at school. And I was like, how can they just look at a page before class and they know everything, and I've been studying this for 3 months and nothing fits in my brain? They have it too. They're great with languages. Maybe they just know how to play 5 instruments. Maybe they're just great at something and they can't explain what they're great at. That is the natural gift of having a second line. Then we have the 3rd line. The 3rd line is interesting for you ladies, because the 3rd line is trial and error. This is me. Trial and error means I will like lift up my sleeves, get my hands dirty, and the only way that I can learn is by falling flat on my ass and getting myself up and falling again. So it's not very glamorous, but the way that I live my life, people really enjoy watching me from afar and like live through me, because it's like adventurous, I guess. But it also is from where the books are written that the ones are reading, so that they don't have to fall on their ass, because I've already done that for them. And the reason why this is interesting for you is because the 6th profile has 3 different life spans, life cycles. And the first one, from 0 to 30, your life experience will be the one of a 3rd line. So your first 30 years of life are experienced like a 3rd line. So trial and error, very intense, a lot of lessons, a lot of confusion, a lot of heartbreak, and a lot of, messiness, chaos. Then we have the fourth line. The fourth line is the opportunist, which sounds kind of bad, but it's really not. It is a person who is just really good at establishing close connections, doesn't mean that they get along with everybody, has what we call an externalization process. So they have this need when they feel comfortable around you to share their story and continuously explore a topic without it being a conversation or without they actually needing your feedback. But they just have this process of when they're comfortable with somebody, they will talk, they will talk, they will talk. And their opportunities will always come through people that they know. So if you're listening and you have a fourth line and you're looking for new clients or you're looking for a new job or whatever, you're looking for new connections, do not spend your time glued to the computer at your house. Go out, have a coffee with a friend. They will introduce you a friend that might bring you a job opportunity in 2 weeks. Okay? Then we have the fifth line, which is also what I am. And the fifth line is the savior energy. It's like, come on guys, the house is on fire, don't worry, everybody grab a bucket, we can make this. Like, it is this energy of like, we can figure this out, I got you, no matter what happens. You know, it's very positive, it's very energetic, but it carries a lot of projection. And so the fifth line oftentimes feel like, oh, people only call on me when they need me, and they don't include me like everyday social interactions. And so it has this like savior kind of energy, this I'm here whenever you need me energy. The amount of times that I am like, listen, I really don't like you, but if anything ever happens, you can call me, is like, you know, this is like who I am as a person. And then we have the sixth sign. And so the sixth sign is this beautiful role model. Examples that I love as sixth line, Pamela Anderson, who's launching her like natural skincare, and J-Lo. So they both have a sixth line. And if you watch their documentaries, you can see these 3 life cycles playing out in their life. 0 to 30, your life is like a third line, messy, intense, chaos. You don't know what's happening. 30 to 50, that's when you start maturing up. You have your Saturn return, you get your ducks in a row. You're like, I'm ready to get onto the roof as a sixth line, because every line in human design is like a place in the house. So the third line is like in the living room, and then you go up the stairs to get onto the roof. As a sixth line, you're on the roof because that's when you can see with a newfound perspective, and people will look up to you no matter what you do. You've always had high standards and just have no time and space for superficial stuff. And so you're really here to find a soulmate. Sixes always have a soulmate in this lifetime, and really be blind about what's happening in other people's lives and just focusing on creating your dream life and finding your soulmate. And so 30 to 50 is when you bring all of that experience that you've gotten those first 30 years of your life and create something tangible that can help your community, or, you know, you share your wisdom with others. And then, this is my favorite part about being a sixth line, you have a revival. So when your Chiron return is from 50 onwards, you have this new surge of magnetism, this new surge of success. And we see this with Pamela Anderson. Her children did a Netflix show with her. She was on Broadway. Now she has a skincare, she has a TV show. I don't know, this woman's on fire. And with J-Lo, it was exactly the same. She kind of like got out of the limelight when she had her children. And then when she had 50, she was nominated for that movie Hustler. She did a striptease at a Super Bowl at 50 years of age. And she's like, you know, she's, I mean, I don't even want to get into, what was it? What I don't even know what were they called?
Yeah.
I don't
you know,
pay
like,
attention to that stuff,
yeah,
so I'm not
well,
sure.
you're missing out on the gossip, girl.
I am, I know.
No, but I'm just saying, it's just funny because it's like, you know, sixth line, you're meant to have a soulmate, and then she got back together with Ben Affleck, and it was just like, oh my God, look, it's like she's 50, she's having all of this sixth line, new energy, she's back with the love of her life, or not, or back. Yeah. But yeah, so that is the reason this is interesting in like anything, actually, any kind of personal relationship, is because you no longer take other people's way of doing personal. So my issue was, because I'm a third line, I can only learn through practice. So then I have my team who has a lot of wants, because I need them to be precise, I need them to do the research, I need them to be very specific, I need them to be nosy, I need them to study. I have a lot of wants. So they will research for a month this new whatever for the business, and then I come along and I'm like, well, I'll try it out and I'll tell you what I think. And they're like, oh my God, I did all this research and she's gonna try it out. And then I'm like, you know what, this doesn't work for me. And then they like probably hate me. You know, so it can be really annoying, but it's not personal. It's not that I don't appreciate the amount of effort and your way of doing it. It's just that my way of doing it is different. And I had this experience with my mom in my house in the 90s, VHS recorder. She was reading, she has a one as well. She was reading the whole boring instruction paper. And I was just like pressing all of the buttons like a maniac. And she was like getting mad at me, but I made it work before her. So I always felt like, oh, people think the way I make my decisions or live my life is bad because it is so messy and it's not rational. But I've really come to appreciate my way of doing things is like, for me, the easiest, fastest. And for other people, they have a different result. So I also don't get mad when, you know, like I go shopping with somebody who has a one and they're like, oh, let's look at this fridge. And then they go back home and then they look at the prices and then they go back to the store and then they measure it and then they go back home and they look at more offers. I'm like, get the fridge, let's look at it. If it fits, great. If not, we'll give it back. You know, but I'm like, that's your process. You do you and I'll do mine. I'll do me.
Well, this is what's so validating, I think, about understanding your human design energy type, right? Is that it can give you a lot of permission in terms of your process. You know, we all have our own unique decision criteria and way of discerning what choices are best and right for us. But to go deep in terms of, I think in my energy type, I learned something about the sacral response. And this is something that I've always kind of subconsciously observed about myself, you know, and back to sports. So that was where I was so deeply present and able to just read and react and be led by my intuition as an example, which I think is part of that, right? In terms of my response type. And then that informs a strategy. But to be able to understand all of that, yeah, is this like, it gives us so much permission, right? To just be able to do it the way that we like to do it. So that's probably the last place that we want to land. So just even giving us a quick snapshot in terms of our energy types, I think you just referenced mine. So I'm a hermit role model, which is a 6-2, right? And so if I were to understand my strategy and you were to give me feedback on that, how would you break that down for me, just so we can exemplify that for our audience before we let you go?
What do you mean exactly by strategy? Like what is the goal?
Yeah, so I think in understanding that my sacral is the spot that I have to pay attention to, right? In terms of how my energy can read and react to the decisions that are best and right for me, right? Like how am I able to identify that based on my number? I guess is what I'm trying to do.
That doesn't tie together like that. So it is really that, you know, the different pieces of human design will speak to different places and to different aspects of our design. So your strategy is based on the presence and on the opportunities that come through you, through your magnetism of your aura, and then how you tackle the opportunities that come through that response then will be filtered through, let's say, the color that is your specific profile number. But it is more like, if we look at the 6 line, right, it is like a whole lifetime of different changes that will mold your path. So what I can say is that if you don't live an intense life in your first 30 years of life, you will have a way later going up the ladder experience. A lot of people are very scared. If you have, I don't know, it could be actually that you have that.
I definitely had an
I know you don't. No,
but
no, 100%. But for example, right, like you have a defined spleen. So every energy center, the defined energy centers are parts of who we are authentically. The open energy center is the energy center where we are meant to have obstacles, where we are meant to have karmic experiences, where we will struggle. Like this is part of your karmic design. And so they're not specifically weaknesses there where we'll get very wise, but we only get wise through the lessons we learn. So I was looking, for example, what can happen is that if you have a 6 line and the first 30 years of your life are super intense and you have an open spleen, meaning you don't have intuition, meaning you don't have access to knowing what is safe in life or what's dangerous in life, then it will be maybe harder for you to live that first 30 years of life really throwing yourself into life, because you always have this fear that is in your spleen energy and doesn't have this dominant intelligence to let you know if you're safe or not, right? But in your case, you do have a defined spleen. And so you have both. You have your gut for everyday decisions, which allows you to get yourself into presence. But then you also have a very high intuition that allows you to understand how you're safe and when you're in danger, and can really, the spleen is very animalistic. It's very intrinsic. It's survival. It's life or death. So you have life or death, but you also have your gut for every day, like, oh, I like this person. This is what I'm in the mood for. Should I wear this? Should I go here? Do I like this person? So you have both of these very powerful tools to keep you safe and to have very good skills at knowing what is a yes and what is a no, and which direction is good for you to take or not.
I love it. I think that's just enough of a snapshot, right? To get people curious, because I don't want them to think it's just understanding what energy type you are. You can go so deep in terms of...
you can, you know what we can do? I can read you your incarnation cross. I think that's going to be very cute. There's 192 incarnation crosses, so I don't know them all by heart, but I'll read out yours because they're very impactful. The thing is with human design, like, we can look at the best environment for you to thrive, and we can look at the way you should eat for your brain to work the best. We can see if you're somebody who thrives on discipline. We can see somebody that maybe isn't born to have a consistent life. So there's so many nuances. We can look at all of the specific gifts that you come to share with the world, how to optimize for social media, how to optimize for leadership, how to interact with other people, how to communicate with each other. Again, as I said, for businesses, for team building, there's so much nuance and so much intricacies, but the most impactful thing is what we talked about in the beginning, and understanding the energy type and strategy. And this is something that could be life-changing for everybody listening today. So a lot of people love getting into all of the intricacies of human design because there is so much stuff, and we are curious people and we like to know stuff. But the truth is that if you wanna, I'm a very impact person. I'm a very applicable person. Give me the shit that will create change. But there's other people who, like you said, you like to fall into a rabbit hole and you like to know all of the little things. I'm very focused on how I can create a fastest transformation, and that will be in understanding your strategy and applying it into your life for your energy type.
I love it. Thank you. I think I think that's the perfect just amount, just to let the appetite, which was our intention.
Let me read you your incarnation cross. Okay? This is my gift for you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna do Susan's first. Wait, let me double check that this is correct with all of your information. Okay, Susan, are you ready?
I'm ready, girl.
Okay.
Let's go.
Left angle cross of the revolution, okay? Your purpose carries a powerful energy of transformation and revolution, driven by a deep-seated desire to affect positive change in the world. You are motivated by a strong sense of justice and fairness, and you are drawn to causes that serve the common good. Food holds a central place in your worldview, as you recognize the vital role it plays in sustaining life and fostering well-being. You may be particularly attuned to issues around food insecurity and hunger, and feel a strong urge to provide for those who are less fortunate. In pursuing your goals, you may adopt a Robin Hood approach, using your resources and abilities to help those who are marginalized or disadvantaged. You are willing to challenge the status quo and to take bold actions to affect change, as long as it aligns with your core values and serves the greater good.
Woo! That sounds like it's in alignment with changing the way this game's being played. Hey, ladies.
I love it.
I love it so much. And I think that is definitely a great place for us to land this plane. I think we've done more than whet the appetite.
I would like to read Tracey's as well. So you get
Tracey.
both. Yes,
yes. Let's hear about Tracey.
I don't know if I did yours in our session. I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Me neither. So Tracey is the right angle cross of unexpected. Your purpose is to navigate the challenges of life with resilience and a sense of purpose. By finding and embracing your passion, you can transform the struggles you face into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. You understand that the journey towards discovering your purpose may not be easy, but it is worthwhile and fulfilling. You are also destined to experience unexpected events in your life, which can be both exciting and challenging. However, you trust that everything happens for a reason and that these unexpected events are an essential part of your journey towards fulfillment.
Love it.
That
Thank
resonates,
you.
right, girl?
Yeah, that's great.
So
Maike,
good.
just before we go, I
Yes.
think it's important that how can people figure out what their human design is? Because I
So,
know,
yeah,
you can
exactly.
talk
So you can go to my Instagram at @getmyhumandesign, and there is a free chart link in my bio, so you can download that for free. And all you need is your birth date, birthplace, and birth time. And with that, you will get your human design.
Yay.
And if you want a deep dive, obviously follow me on Instagram, Get My Human Design, or you can watch my videos on YouTube. People love, there's so much free value for you to deep dive into. The Human Design portal on YouTube is also a fantastic resource, I think.
So many great resources for our crowd to plug into. I know that they're definitely going to want to, so we'll leave all that information
Thank
that
you
you
so
just
much.
described in the show notes. Any final words for our conscious leadership audience, Maike?
I don't want human design to be another thing that you need to learn or another thing you feel guilty about not doing right. I want human design to be something that is fun, that you try out. It's called the human design experiment. Let it be something to try, figure out if it works for you, see if you feel better, if you gain more success, have less resistance, and really make it a fun, game with the universe, like, oh, if I do my strategy, will this work? Am I getting invited? Am I responding? But don't let it be another heavy thing. Like, you are already doing like therapy, inner child healing, trauma work. Like, it's too much, ladies, it's too much. I want to bring fun into life. Like, we're here to enjoy life. We're here to dance. We're here to, make the most of our beautiful aliveness. And so let human design be something that doesn't hold you back and just gives you that extra pep in your step.
I love that. As a mic drop. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you all so
tuning.
much for being here, for allowing me to share the human design information.
Yeah, we're so grateful that you came in to share your brilliance with our audience. We know this is going to amplify their impact game in so many incredible ways. And I am definitely re-inspired to dive more deeply into my design.
Amazing.
I'm definitely going to be finding you on the sidelines. Tracey and I are so grateful for all of you out there listening and continuing to go on this conscious leadership journey with us. We told you this is the gift that keeps on giving, this portal of possibility that we believe packs the power and the potential to change the way this game's being played when the world needs it more than ever. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Bye.